By show of hands, can any of you tell me if you've recently read online, or perhaps been part of a conversation, where a friend, a family member, or a colleague has expressed their frustration with the national political landscape, or a concern about the future of the country? Maybe you've heard, felt, or seen an exhaustion from your neighbors at the thought of engaging with a range of issues, from these very conversations about democracy to their willingness to build community with one another. I know I have. A pair of surveys by the pollster Gallup taken in 2022 and subsequently in 2023 found that American trust in 11 of 16 institutions of public service, from the Supreme Court to the presidency, and even the medical system, had reached all-time lows. Similar surveys have found that across demographics, and particularly among young people, Americans are having a hard time feeling optimistic about the future, and we feel lonelier and more distant from one another than we did in the recent past. Citizen disengagement and growing distrust of our democratic institutions have brought ideas once on the fringe of our politics into the mainstream. It's a never-ending loop, you see. More and more often, when citizens become disengaged, figures like authoritarians who thrive on these pitfalls begin to take hold, seizing on our exhaustion and division while eroding our collective freedoms. They hyperbolize real events to distract us even further, often setting our sights on a bigger target, and a scapegoat that's often far removed from reality. It's an old but effective structure played into by those who seek to weaken our local democracies, drawing our attention away from the issues that matter most right here at home. So, public opinion polling and scholars from around the world have been telling us that our collective confidence in democracy is in crisis. Compared to 3 or 4 decades ago, our community trust in the institutions that uphold our democratic norms has been greatly lessened. This issue is further compounded by hyperpolarization reaching new heights and a struggle to keep authoritarianism at bay. In my profession, I research online information manipulation. Imagine how fun that might be. Observing firsthand how individuals who amplify mis and disinformation, including foreign and domestic bad actors, seize on our exhaustion to sow chaos online and further our divisions. Though the internet has been our great connector, there are those who've sought to exploit its benefits for personal, partisan, and financial gain in an effort to turn it into our great divider. Citizen disengagement has broadened our susceptibility to their work. Today, online mis and disinformation takes shape in the form of out-of-context news clips, manipulated media, and even outright false and unmerited conspiracy theories that are really good at drawing our attention. Take, for example, widespread falsehoods about election fraud in the United States that appear online. These claims largely prey on our lack of understanding of electoral processes in our country, often alleging that a shadowy group of individuals are working to subvert and overturn the popular will. But it's the case that across the country, and right here at home, election processes are often aided by community volunteers, the very people you and I know and trust. Fostering conversations that help broaden our understanding of our communities are essential to dispelling these sorts of mistruths. Our crises of confidence in democratic institutions and the weakening of our local democracies are being further compounded by tools that 20, 30 years ago didn't even exist. So I think we can all agree that this is a serious problem, and surely by now we're all wondering the same thing. How do we move past the doom and gloom casting its shadow over our democracy and turn instead to catalysts that can help us promote more of the good, necessary public service each of us deserves right here at home? After all, our democracy isn't a show or a source of entertainment. It's a central tenet to all of our lives. Today, I want to share with you all what I believe can be an effective playbook for not just preserving, but strengthening our democracy and ensuring that together we keep freedom alive in the 21st century by beating these crises of information disorder and free-falling public trust. You see, when we talk about democracy, I believe it's of the essence to not discuss it as an exclusionary ideal. In a conversation I had with University of South Florida professor of political communication, Dr. Joseph Scacco, he presented a new kind of framing for democracy to me that I hadn't heard of before. The word democracy is an active verb. It's more than just a set of rules or ideals. To keep our local democracies alive, everyone listening, including all of you in this room, have a shared responsibility to engage with our local democratic institutions, to hold power to account, and keep the principles of our democratic norms alive. The framework for engaging with our local democratic system can oftentimes feel cumbersome. To be honest, in a rapidly changing world where our everyday lives are wrapped up between tending to our family needs, work, and exhaustion at what feels like a never-ending news cycle of terror, the idea of further delving into the issues can feel overwhelming. And I've shared this sentiment myself sometimes. But what if the framework isn't really that complicated? You see, to me, I believe the work of keeping our local democracies healthy and alive doesn't have to be extremely hard and should instead be accessible to all of us. You don't always have to take the step, a momentous step might I add, like running for public office and taking on the weight of a public trust. Ensuring participation by each and every eligible voter in each and every election is an essential aspect of this. But it's even simpler. It comes by harnessing our civic engagement efforts to encourage everyone we cross paths with to question and propose solutions to the problems and issues that we face in the community. This goes back to the idea that democracy is neither an exclusionary ideal or a zero-sum game. What if there's an issue you're particularly passionate about, and you feel like you've identified a brilliant solution to a pressing problem in the community? I've discovered that you don't have to be a trained public speaker to attend a meeting of the County Board of Commissioners and discuss local zoning rules. In the same way, you don't have to be an experienced writer to draft a letter to the editor of the local newspaper about something you care about. Similarly, you don't have to be a member of the Parent-Teacher Association to help the county school board make the best decisions about the education of our community's children and their future. Personally, I've discovered that my most confident undertakings of this playbook for a thriving local democracy have been by doing something very simple: penning insightful letters and articles to community members and leaders about the issues I care for most. Civic engagement can be found in your informative yard sign and in the respectful conversations you have with your neighbor. In this playbook, citizens and public officials alike share a joint responsibility of fostering constructive dialogue, which can be hard in today's world, and proposing sustainable ideas for the future of our communities. In listening more from one another, we equip ourselves with an opportunity to increase local representation and ensure that finally, underrepresented voices have an opportunity to be heard. By collaborating with each other, we hamper the scripts followed by autocrats, demagogues, and authoritarians who seek to drive agendas that can render democracy ineffective. Remember this: the anti-freedom agendas of democracy subverters are predicated and moreover thrive on our disengagement and disenchantment. They do very well when all we can do is argue with one another. By recentering the voices that are closest to us, that means encouraging your friends, your family members, and your neighbors to be active, engaged, and informed citizens beyond just election time, we can overcome many of the challenges posed by information disorder and this crisis of free-falling public trust. This takes us back to the need for respectful and insightful conversations, wherever they might be happening, including and particularly online. After all, digital algorithms aren't exactly designed to help protect us from the dangers of rising hyperpolarization and free-falling public trust. So remember this the next time you see a post on the internet that really makes you want to jump at the screen and react, whether in joy or in anger. Online, for digital algorithms, an angry face and a heart reaction carry the same weight. Rather than feeding conversations or algorithms that further divide us, let's look to the future of our civic engagement with a desire to impart decency, civility, and education. This is how we undertake the necessary and important journey to rebuilding public trust in the institutions, mending our social cohesion, and toning down hyperpolarization by foregoing the division and being well-informed. I've talked a lot about our shared responsibilities to keep the issues local, which is one of the most important things we can do, and to be educated in our conversations. Finally, I want to highlight the most important part of this framework. The one piece of this playbook I believe is of the essence to keep this work going. To keep our local democracies alive, we have to champion the idea that democracy itself isn't boring or in decline. Instead, we must affirm that democracy has an optimistic future, a future grounded in decency, truth, and joyful engagement. Our local democracies won't thrive simply because we will them to. They can only do so if we foster their health by participating in them. Thank you all.